Hello, here we are again. This is the Organizational Excellence Podcast. This is Kevin Johnson of Leverage Consulting, and today we're going to talk about your plan for success. Every successful business, every successful person has things that they want to do and things that they want to achieve. And I can also guarantee you that every one of those businesses or individuals have had times where they have been truly frustrated. And I'm sure there are times where you have been frustrated as to why we can't seem to make progress. What I did was I typically break it down into 4 different things that we need to identify for any plan for success. I figured I would take 2 examples that tend to be really great examples of something that can be phenomenal or it can fail. And if it fails, usually it's really frustrating. So for example, one might be something like throwing a party. So consider you're going to throw a client or customer appreciation party. Usually those are big, usually those are involved, they have many facets, many moving parts. So for example, how many people are coming? How much room do we need? What type of food are we serving? Are we inviting anyone special? Are we dressing uniquely for the event? Are we going to be bringing in outside talent? For example, are you doing something where you're going to have a DJ, or are you going to have a singer? Are you going to have someone actually speaking? I could go on, but it really somewhat depends on the type of event, what's going on, and what your outcome is. A completely different example, but also could be equally successful or frustrating, would be saying something like, we need better customer service or we need a better customer experience. That example is one that's super squishy. The funny part is everyone will sit around and agree, oh, absolutely, we need better customer service or we need better customer experiences. Usually when you have a conversation like that, most everyone's going to walk away and feel good and say, absolutely, we need to do better. The real question is whether everyone really has a clear plan or not. And that's where you could take either one of the examples that I've provided and then look at, do we have a plan for success? So the 4-part plan that I had mentioned is, first, do we even have our objective? What is the end goal? What's the target? What's it supposed to look like? What's it supposed to feel like? Get it all down on paper. Ensure that every person involved knows what the end result is supposed to look like. So what is that client appreciation party supposed to look like? What's the actual objective? Interestingly enough, when I see a lot of client appreciation parties, I'll tell you one of the biggest things I see missing is the fact that we don't actually talk to the people who are there. I tend to see people set up these types of parties, and then they all stand in the corner or they all talk amongst themselves. They don't go talk to the people that they've brought in. Go talk to the people we don't normally speak with on a regular basis. That's the point of having the party. If we're setting up this client appreciation party, what's the outcome or the end result that we're looking for from this party? Or if we're saying, what is it with customer service? What are we really trying to achieve with this? Is this something where we're supposed to have such great customer service or such great experiences that people will refer our friends and family? Is it something where we want more and better reviews? That's the first thing, would be objective. Second thing is who's involved, who's responsible, who's accountable. So we need to start drilling it down to who are going to be the key players to drive this. Sometimes we need one key player purely to head something up or be responsible for a particular area. Does not mean that they are the sole person responsible for making this happen. If you have 10 people on your team, we have one person that's responsible for keeping us focused and strategizing the various and different ways that we can get more Google reviews, as an example. The third thing would be, what are the steps? What are all the different steps or strategies that we will use to get more Google reviews? Or what are the steps and strategies or the different assignments, action items that we need for the client appreciation party? Because that in itself, sometimes those parties can literally be the equivalent of planning a wedding. We have an objective, we have the who, we have the steps, and last but not least, what's the measurement? again, we're looking for more Google reviews. What's the number we were shooting for? Do we want 50 more? Do we want 250 Google reviews by a certain date? That's a measurement that we can follow daily, weekly, and monthly. With our client appreciation party, do we have a number in terms of how many people we want to show up? Do we have a number, if we want to get really technical with this, as to how many people we go out and talk to, speak with when we have the event? Those would be measurements from this. Or do we have other things that we want in terms of contacts? If we're doing something like this with this party, are we having some expectation for our return on what's going on? So, for example, we put on the event, and we hope that there's going to be some kind of uptick in business afterwards. So are we measuring to see if that happened or not? That, my friends, is your 4-part plan. We have an objective. We know who is actually going to head up or be responsible for each part of the plan. We have steps that are outlined with strategies or action items, and then we need to measure it. And with the measurement, we also need to be communicating that to the team that's involved in our objective. So there's your plan for success. That was your Organizational Excellence Podcast. I'll talk to you again next week.